So this is the beginning of the BBC series by the nuns in Zopa for the next few weeks. And I was asked by Venerable Chinny to talk on motivation. And I've had quite a few thoughts about this the past few days since she asked me to do this. First of all, to realize that motivation is the keystone in determining whether our actions are beneficial or not in the present. And our motivations also determine whether what we are going to experience in the future is going to be suffering or happiness. That's kind of the fundamental characteristic of motivations. And so I was kind of thinking about all of us here, and I've had this sort of pride and joy in my mind come up in the past few days, because I can think of, for whatever reason, whatever motivations folks decided on why they wanted to do the retreat here, is that they must have been extremely heartfelt, extremely focused and committed and virtuous motivations, because just getting our lives in order to get here, if that motivation is not sincere and well-grounded in a virtuous mind, the obstacles that can arise would certainly detour us. So there's been this kind of thing that's come up in my mind the past few days, and how proud I am of all of us that we got here. And then, so then Venerable yesterday sort of set out this invitation, which I also see as a motivation, during the retreat to set the intention of making friends with ourselves. And at first it sounds fun, it sounds easy and pretty simple. But I have found, at least in my own experience the past few years that I've done retreat, that it is probably the most profound teaching that Venerable gives. It encompasses the entire gradual path. And that for the most part, I didn't have any idea how to be a friend to myself before I started doing these retreats. And part of the confusion is that the self-centered thought loves to be my friend. And that it has all sorts of ideas on what being a good friend to Semkei really is about. And so that added to the confusion on how to truly be a virtuous friend to my own mind. And so over the past years that I've been doing a retreat, I've been starting to sort of clear myself of that confusion. But what's replacing it instead is a confusion, or maybe a disconnect, about how does becoming a good friend to oneself have anything to do with bodhicitta? And part of the reason of my confusion or the disconnect is that when I am really in the thick of things, when I'm trying to understand and to discern the thinking in my mind on what's crazy thinking, what's downright lies to myself, and what are some insights and truths that I really need to hold on to, or the times that I have to spend being so vigilant so I can catch the afflictions before they rise, before they put a ring through my nose and run me around the Abbey for 3 days. Or the time that I have to grow as a good friend to myself, to learn to be self-accepting, to be able to recognize and respect my own basic goodness. I mean, this is not an easy task for many of us, and I can certainly put myself in that list. Because being a good friend to Semkei is a full-time job. She's continually getting herself into trouble, all sorts of ways. And so while I'm doing this, taking care of myself and understanding what a good friend is, I have to be honest and say benefiting others and becoming a Buddha is not in my purview. So then I was like, well, what does this have to do with it? You know, here's my motivation to be a friend to myself in the most virtuous way, and then benefiting others and wanting to become a Buddha. I couldn't get the connection because of the time involved to being a good friend to myself. But then I had like this kind of epiphany the other day, or at least a clarity, that being a friend to oneself and generating bodhicitta are absolutely connected to each other. They're inseparable. And the understanding that I'm coming to is that until I can discern, or until we can discern what it is that is not helpful, maybe not just not helpful, but harmful, downright dangerous to our minds, You know, the self-centered thought, this grasping at this I that is the most important thing in the universe, that is so bristling and sensitive and full of itself, and all the negative mental habits that proliferate to support these. Until we can identify that, and then work on finally letting that go, and until we can discover, respect, and acknowledge our own goodness and the things that are worth keeping, bodhicitta will be nothing more than an idea. You know, because how would one be able to respect, affirm, support, care for others when we have no clue how to do that for ourselves? It's like the blind leading the blind. And so the beauty of retreat and the beauty of Venerable's invitation as one of our basic motivations is, as we become friends with ourselves, which is this very intimate one-on-one relationship with everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, is that the one-on-one relationship starts to turn into a circle. This is kind of something that's finally becoming a little bit more clear to me, is that because I'm able to see, I see my own suffering. I see your suffering. I see, respect, and acknowledge my own goodness. Then I can see and appreciate, acknowledge your goodness. And the making friends with oneself, Venerable really took that cherishing out of self-cherishing and really gave it the virtuous quality that it has. Being a friend to ourselves is truly cherishing ourselves in the most heartfelt way. And by becoming friends with ourselves, the cherishing of others, because we're connected, we understand there's a simpatico. The cherishing of others becomes sort of this dance, this activity between the cherishing of oneself and the cherishing of others. And by then seeing those things within ourselves and then acknowledging them in others, this whole idea about seeing others in beauty and seeing them as our mothers who have been so kind to us in previous lives, it doesn't seem like this intellectual Rubik's Cube. You know, they're not disconnected anymore. And then this idea of, well, if I really want to be the best friend to others, awakening is the only way to do it. You know, I've shot myself in the foot, and I've had things blow in my face in my unskillful ways to be a good friend to others. And learning the reality of it is, being a Buddha is the best friend that we can be to each other. And so instead of seeing the motivation of coming into retreat to make friends with ourselves and doing retreat to generate and grow our bodhicitta, they are very much interconnected. In fact, they're very, very good friends. And so this is one of the things that I've been working on for years, but I see the peace and that they're not separate. And so I want to invite all of you over the next few days to take Venerable's deep-hearted invitation. It's a profound invitation to make friends with ourselves in the next 4 weeks. And see what happens to your bodhicitta.